Welcome to Sinister Heroes. I'm your host, Danny Iniquitous. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, this is a channel about Dungeons and Dragons where we try and take a darker tone with everything we do here. So if you like edgy kind of content, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. A big thank you to our Patreon supporters. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. What you do for us is absolutely amazing. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, the link is in our description, as well as the link to our good friends at Critical Failures, where we're part of a live stream game that's every Wednesday night. Check us out. And with all that out of the way, we're going to jump into this week's video. We're going to talk about the Totem Warrior Barbarian. The path of the Totem Warrior comes to us from the player's handbook. This is one of the original subclasses that was released. You'll see this come up a lot in min-max builds because it does give you an insane amount of defense if you make a certain type of selection. But it is a very durable barbarian. This does make the barbarian significantly more tanky in situations where you fight a lot of elemental damage types, where you're not necessarily just dealing with bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. Because of the nature of this barbarian, you're kind of pulled into this very nomadic, kind of like primalist kind of world where you're like constantly in the elements. Out in the forests, in the mountains, and dealing with animals and beasts. It pairs really well with druids and rangers. It's a specific kind of if you ever saw the movie Beastmaster, it's kind of like that, where you do have this kind of connection to the spiritual essence behind these animalistic spirits or these totems, which you'll see develop later on. It's great because it takes this kind of stance of that nature isn't inherently evil. Some things just need to devour other things. You can get that kind of a feel for it, which I like to lean in very heavily, like especially for dark druids that are trying to restore balance or bring the world back to its natural form. That kind of mentality really kind of works well. When you first make this selection as your subclass, you gain Spirit Seeker. Yours is a path that seeks attunement with the natural world, giving you a kinship with beasts. At their level, when you adopt this path, you gain the ability to cast Beast Sense and speak with animal spells, but only as rituals. Now, rituals, they take 10 minutes to cast, and you do not require a spell slot to do them, so this is rather unique that you get this ability. Beast Sense is an interesting kind of sequence. As you cast it on a beast, you can see and hear through it as if you were that beast. It doesn't take away your normal senses as a barbarian. It's not like when you're casting Find Familiar and you see through your familiar, you kind of go blind and deaf as your character and only see and hear through your familiar. This does not do that. This pairs really well for adventuring and being really stealthy, which is one of the great things about the barbarian. Is you get this idea most of the time that you're a big dumb brute, where your dump stat is intelligence and you just go full strength and that's all that matters. But I find that a more intelligent barbarian really fits a lot more of themes about barbarians that we know of. Like Conan is a perfect example. Conan is smart. Conan is a big brute, but he is by no means dumb. Like, he really does create tactical decisions and is very well versed in how to manipulate circumstances to his benefit. Obviously, he's not cracking the genome or anything like that, but there's no reason why a barbarian can't be intelligent. Speak with animals is great. Again, it's kind of your sequence and the environment you're in. If you can get an animal to go ahead into a cave and then cast Beast Sense on it, you do gain the ability to see what it sees without putting you or your party at risk. You can hear what it hears, and in which case you can hear entities talking about something, but it works really, really well if you're playing that kind of like a leapfrog kind of exploration, where you send out a scout, and then after that you move forward depending on what you want to do on the information you've gathered with that scout. That's kind of what these abilities are kind of supposed to do. It kind of pairs really well. I can't see a reason why, if you continuously speak to the same animals, that those animals won't work with you or be your friend. You know, as long as you don't put them in danger, I could see it working out. You also gain Totem Spirit. This is the real big thing that you get, and one of the more prominent features about the Totem Warrior. At third level, when you adopt this path, you choose a Totem Spirit and gain its feature. You can make or acquire a physical totem, object, an amulet, or similar adornment that incorporates fur, feathers, claws, teeth, or bones of the totem animal. At your option. You also gain minor physical attributes that are reminiscent of your totem spirit. For example, if you have a bear totem spirit, you might be unusually hairy and thick-skinned, or if your totem is the eagle, your eyes might turn bright yellow. Your totem animal might be an animal related to those listed here, but more appropriate to your homeland. For example, you could choose a hawk or a vulture in place of an eagle. If you choose the bear, while raging, you have resistance to all damage except physical damage. The spirit of the bear makes you tough enough to stand up to any punishment. This is your mega tank ability. Psychic damage is super rare unless you happen to know you're fighting illithids, or you're in like Spelljammer, or in a world where you know you'll be dealing with enemies that have psychic abilities. This will basically give you resistance to all damage types. Again, psychic is rare, but it's not impossible for you to take a few hits from that. But considering you're resistant for everything else, that's a really strong defensive ability. Eagle. While you're raging and aren't wearing heavy armor, other creatures have disadvantage on opportunity attack rolls against you, and you can use the dash as a bonus action on your turn. The spirit of the eagle makes you into a predator who can weave through the fray with ease. Barbarians inherently had an issue where they would rage and run up to an enemy, and then that enemy would dart across the world, and then the barbarian didn't take any damage or didn't do any damage, in which case it lost its rage. This was one of those great concepts to help balance out that mechanic, so you still get that availability to go forward and have that moving forward. Opportunity attacks, again, at disadvantage, is pretty great, but if you go reckless, it's just a regular attack roll. But depending on your circumstance, being able to dash out and have disadvantage might be beneficial to you, because sometimes you need to do something else besides stand where you are. Elk, while you're raging and aren't wearing heavy armor, your walking speed is increased by 15 feet. The spirit of the elk makes you extraordinarily swift. This is, again, a big thing to compensate for movement speed, which is something that the barbarians could really suffer from. Tiger, while raging, you add 10 feet to your long jump distance and 3 feet to your high jump distance. The spirit of the tiger empowers your leaps. Jumping around is kind of one of those things that's just a funky mechanic. If you don't use it often, it kind of doesn't really make a lot of sense, and you got to really do your math and your homework to kind of understand how that benefits you, but your strength is added into that, so you do have a lot of reasons to jump around. And wolf, while you're raging, your friends have advantage on melee attack rolls against any creature within 5 feet of you that is hostile to you. The spirit of the wolf makes you a leader of hunters. This is more so party dependent. If you have a lot of melees, if you have paladins, they will love you. Rogues will love you, but if you have a lot of casters that are using saving throws or abilities and spells that do make enemies make saving throws, it's not as beneficial. But predominantly, you'll see most people grabbing wolf because it does help up the DPS and the sustained damage that your party needs to deal out. At 6th level, you gain Aspect of the Beast. You gain a magical benefit based on a totem animal of your choice. You can choose the same animal you selected at 3rd level or a different one. Bear. You gain the might of a bear. Your carrying capacity is doubled, and you have advantage on strength checks made to push, pull, lift, or break objects. Eagle. You gain the eyesight of an eagle. You can see up to 1 mile away with no difficulty, and able to discern even fine details as though looking at someone no more than 100 feet away from you. Additionally, dim light doesn't pose disadvantage on your wisdom perception checks. Whether mounted or on foot, your travel pace is doubled, as the travel pace of up to 10 companions while they're within 60 feet of you and you're not incapacitated. The elk spirit helps you roam far and fast. It's great because it does help all of your party members, so you do have a lot. This will cut down on your travel time as far as like adventuring and moving great distances. Tiger. You gain proficiency in 2 skills of your choice from the following list: athletics, acrobatics, stealth, and survival. The cat spirit owns your survival instincts. And wolf. You gain the hunting sensibilities of a wolf. You can track other creatures while traveling at a fast pace, and you can move stealthily while traveling at a normal pace. The wolf thing, it's really based on your kind of DM and the kind of sequences that they're running with their campaign. If you're chasing an enemy, which is usually a pretty rare occurrence from my experiences, but maybe this happens more often to you, this would be great for you to keep that pace and to help you be stealthy in doing so. It's a rare thing. Doesn't happen often, and this would be something that you would be doing on your own, but as a barbarian, that's one of the things you do really well. At 10th level, you gain Spirit Walker. You can cast a commune with nature spell but only as a ritual. When you do so, a spirited version of one of the animals you chose for your totem, aspect, or beast appears to you and convey your information that you seek. This is actually a pretty cool spell. It only works when you're outside in like natures and elements, but it does give you the availability to check to survey 3 miles around you and gain a good amount of information. You can find out 3 of the following items: the terrain and bodies of water, prevalent plants, minerals, animals, or peoples, powerful celestials, fae, fiends, elementals, or undead, or influence from other planes of existence, and certain buildings that might be in the area. If you're lost, if you're traveling in an area you don't know, this becomes more valuable. It's a great spell. Nobody really tends to take advantage of it because it's a ritual that's mostly based for gathering information as opposed to doing anything like flying or utility-wise that's more prevalent. A smarter, more cautious adventurer would make more use out of a spell like this. The final path of the Totem Warrior ability you gain is Totemic Attunement. At 14th level, you gain a magical benefit based on a totem animal of your choice. You can choose the same animal you selected previously or a different one. Bear. While you are raging, any creature within 5 feet of you that's hostile to you has disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you or another character with this feature. An enemy is immune to this effect if it can't hear or see you, or if it can't be frightened. Eagle. While raging, you have a flying speed equal to your current walking speed. This benefit works only in short bursts. You fall if you end your turn in the air and nothing else is holding you aloft. Elk. While raging, you can use a bonus action during your move to pass through the space of a large or smaller creature. The creature must succeed on a strength saving throw based on your strength, or be knocked prone and take bludgeoning damage equal to 1d12 plus your strength modifier. Tiger. While raging, if you move at least 20 feet in a straight line towards a large or smaller target, right before making a melee weapon attack against it, you can use a bonus action to make an additional melee weapon attack against it. Wolf. While raging, you can use a bonus action to knock a large or smaller creature prone when you hit it with a melee weapon attack. This gains a unique tactical advantage. Wolf, when you're raging, you just automatically knock the target prone. That's it. You just have to hit once and then knock it prone because you decide to knock it prone. There's no check. There's nothing to stop that. If you happen to jump up and hit something in the air and knock it prone, it will have to plummet to hit the ground unless it has hovering. But it does do this without any kind of save or contested action from the opponent. Tiger, awesome. An extra melee attack is very big for the barbarian because that's really what you do, and getting one additional one really makes a difference. Elk, charging through something and doing 1d12 plus your strength modifier, that's pretty great. And you can knock it prone. Like that's a pretty great move altogether. Eagle lets you fly, it's kind of like a dart throwing through the air. That's kind of the best way to explain it. You go in one direction and that's kind of it. And then when it stops, it just kind of plummets. Bear, it's a great tanking ability. Again, if you go all bear, you gain a lot of benefits to really making yourself feel like that giant bear in combat. It's a very great mechanic because there are no real strong taunt mechanics. And this helps some of your squishier party members. And considering you're a Totem Warrior Barbarian, everything else is a squishy party member. So this does give you the availability to help deter them from attacking anybody next to you. The Totem Barbarian is a defensive monstrosity. It is super tanky, and that's where a lot of the benefits come from. But it is also a leader on the battlefield. You take that wolf aspect, and people will follow you like you are that giant leader wolf. It's a great way to define your character, not just on their abilities, but on the actions they can take and how they impacted party members. It's a great way to create leadership. It's a great way to create a character that has that, like, notice me kind of personality to them. As you progress, their abilities do get interesting, and you do gain the availability to be a smarter leader. And that's something you don't really see a lot grown really well through the Barbarian, which is one of the things that really separates this subclass for the rest of them from me. It's a strong class because the Barbarian as a base class is always a strong class, but this adds on to some of the defensive features and gives you a couple of cool different tricks that you can do and make your subclass unique. You don't have to play 2 Totem Warrior barbarians the exact same way. You can take dynamic changes with them, and it feels different. It feels cool. With all that said and done, if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Definitely hit that like and subscribe button. A big thank you to our Patreon supporters. We love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. What you do for us is amazing. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, the link is in the description, as well as a link to our good friends at Critical Failures, where we're part of a live stream game. Check us out every Wednesday night, and thank you for giving a spooky kid a chance.